Hi, everybody, and welcome to Portraits. Now, as you know, portraits are pictures of people. Typically, a self portrait is a picture of you. I wanted to just look a little bit. I'm just starting to look through one of my favorite books about Da Vinci. And it's interesting, just even some of these simple pencil sketches have some of these facial guidelines that we're going to start to talk about. So they could be a head-on kind of a viewpoint or a profile or a side view. But what we're going to work on today, we're just going to talk about some of the basics about facial proportions. So, portrait drawing proportions. And proportions is another word for size relationships. And, whenever I look at these, I think about, very traditional, idealized, or more perfect looking kinds of portraits. They could be 3D, they could be 2D. But portraits, as you know, throughout history, try to record people and their time and place. So that's the great part about portraits. So sometimes when we're little, right, we might start with simple kinds of portraits. Okay. We've all been there, right? Even simple and facial proportions start to get a little bit wonky as we get older, right? Or, okay, you get the idea. And is that still a portrait? It's a picture of a person, right? But we communicate things through our lines and shapes and lights and darks. But over time, the goal is to add different skills to our toolbox to strengthen and to challenge ourselves. So that's what we're going to do today. So as we start to draw, you might be using an ebony pencil. A couple things to remember about ebony pencils is that they make dark lines. Okay, so when we draw with an ebony pencil, again, the goal is to keep your lines nice and light at first, almost like you're drawing on, do you remember it? A potato chip. Okay, and if you're drawing on a potato chip, you want to draw so lightly that you're not going to break it. So once you like those lines, drawing really lightly, or I even have students sometimes draw with their eraser. You can see like the little bits right there. And if you like what you've drawn there with the eraser, then you can just go over the top of it, or you can erase the part you don't like and go right over it. So keeping it light at first is so much easier. If you're pushing really hard at the beginning, then, remember, you can never erase it. Okay, so what we're going to start to do today, just a couple thinking about different sorts of lines. Okay, when you start to add lines, they can be simple like hatching, kind of a cross hatching, maybe a stippling. And these are different sorts of texturing techniques that you might like to add over time. Okay, but as we start with portraits, a couple things to keep in mind. The human face is mapped out very mathematically. In the very middle of our face, that's the eye line. Okay, so from here to here, okay, the eyes are directly in the middle. If I take the eye line to the chin, directly in the middle, that's the bottom of the nose. From the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin, that's where the lip line, the bottom lip line would rest. So what we're going to do today, you're going to start to look at a couple different facial proportions. But here's what I want you to think about. Here's the human head. I'm going to go really lightly. Here's the eye line. And actually, 1/4 of the way, that's your hairline, 1/4 of the way down. The eyes are 1/2 of the way down. This is the bottom of the nose. So that's the nose line, about 3/4 of the way down. And then the lips are right on top right there. Now, the human face is approximately 5 eyes across. Now, I know some of you have started to do this before, and I'm going to try to go in a little bit more. But when we start to draw eyes, remember, it's like that football shape, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over time, you'll be really good at starting to see. So I've got my football. I've got the colored part of my eye, the iris, and then I've got the pupil. Now, before I start to add in the lights and the darks, I'm going to make the pupil a little bit larger because I'll look a little bit more friendly. If it's too dark, remember, there we go. If it's too dark, too small, the pupil, you'll tend to look kind of beady-eyed and mean. Okay, so I've got the start of the eyes right here. Eyelids, just a simple line up above. Now, I might start to make this one a little bit lighter. Notice when I put that eye in there, I cut off the top of it. If I weren't to do that and just had the eye in the middle, it would look like I'm drinking a little bit too much coffee. Now, eyelashes, it's like a little smiley on the top. Okay, sad face kind of towards the bottom. And again, keep it light and breezy. I've got an eye right here. I'm going to bring it up. That's the top of my eye right here. So, okay, top of my eye, that's where my eyebrows. And again, keep it just nice and breezy. Now, these two lines right here, this is actually where the edges of the nose go. Okay, so right here. Now, those of you that we've done the noses before, noses oftentimes are the most three-dimensional, a little bit harder. I got circle, circle, circle. I'm going to keep this part. I'm going to curve it around, parentheses, parentheses. Now, if I do it in here, I'll just do it kind of an imaginary circle, circle, circle. Keep this part, wrap it around, parentheses, parentheses. Just keep it nice and light. Here's going to be the bottom. Now the pupils, if I draw little lines coming down, some of you guys might remember this dot, dot, curve line, flat line. And I'm going to connect that Cupid's bow on the top, on the bottom. Now, the ears. The ears are essentially, if we look in here, which I kind of love, it's typically from like the eye line, a little bit above the eye line to the nose. So I typically do like a hot dog, skinnier little one, and then I just outline it. Just keep it nice and simple. A long hot dog and a littler one. Just make sure they're generally even. From the top of the head, remember how we had that 1/4, the hairline? That's where the hair sprouts out. A lot of times people have hair at the top here. This is actually, and hair comes up and off the head. And again, hair is essentially just lines, but it comes up and off your head. Boys, a lot of times hair will come down in front of the ears. Okay, maybe your hair overlaps your ears. The neck comes right out from the mandible right here, which is kind of your jawline right here. And your shoulders, I would say for the most part, probably go off. Shoulders are approximately 3 heads wide. So if I took the width of one head, put it here, and then one over here, that's the width of your shoulders. Okay, I'm going to make a 3D collar, almost looking like it's coming out. So I curved that line around. Now, your first 100 drawings are your hardest, right? Why? Because it's practice. Okay, so that was the start of the portraits. Try your best. You might not be able to get it exactly yet, but you will with time. All right, happy drawing. Do your best.